welcome back to the Sound for Yours podcast. I'm your host, Phil Bevers. I hope you guys had a good week. I had an okay one. Actually, you know what? I can't lie. It was actually pretty good. Just staying busy, getting shit done, being that guy. You know how I gotta do. I had to be that guy every fucking day, and everyone's like, "There goes that guy," and I'm like, "That's me, man." And that's fine. That's my cross to bear. That's my burden to carry with me. Is I just had to continuously be that guy, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. If that's how it has to be, that's how it's mad about it. All right. Well, I started, so it doesn't really matter. And that's a rule I live by the way. I would like. I think that started back when I lived on like the Upper East Side with my friend Nick and Chase, and they there was like a rule that we had basically that like if you stuttered while you were talking, especially like if you were arguing something, it's over. Like that was it. Like whatever you were saying, it didn't matter because you sounded stupid because you started stuttering, which like did create quite a few problems in the apartment. I'm not gonna lie, man. Because sometimes we'd be having a serious ass discussion, and then someone would be like, "Yeah, but dude, like if I'm asking you to clean up the plates," and they'd be like, "Ah, you started. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Literally, whatever you're saying, it doesn't matter." And like it would get us so like whoever it was that it happened to, especially if you're talking about something serious, it would just make you so fucking mad. But the rules are the rules. I mean, there's law and order for a reason, and so if you're gonna set boundaries and you're gonna set rules, you gotta fucking follow them, man. I don't know what to tell you. You know, I don't know what to tell you. That's how it's gonna be. But yeah, that's a rule we used to live by. Now that I live by myself, it doesn't really matter. It was that rule, and then like seat check. Seat check was a religious thing. Like you had to follow. If you weren't gonna follow the stutter thing, you had to follow seat check kind of thing. Um, and man, it was so annoying if like in your own apartment you call you didn't call seat check, but you just got up from like the seat that you always sit in, and then you come back and someone's sitting there, and everyone's like, "You didn't say seat check. You didn't say anything." Because like usually when you do something for so long, you become like ear numb to it, kind of thing, where like you tune it out. You don't really think about it when you hear it anymore. But when we were doing seat check stuff, you always heard seat check because you'd make it very clear. You would like tap someone's shoulder and be like, "Hey, seat check, okay?" Because you get to that point, and so you have to like say something to someone and be like, "Hey, man, I need you to be a witness." It's almost like getting something. What is it called? Fuck, what is it called? When you go to like a not like a certifier, a notary. You get something notarized, and when you get something notarized and you have to like have like a witness, and you're just like, "Hey, this happened. I need you to make sure people know that this happened officially." So a very very frat move, I guess, or like frat house kind of thing. Be like seat check, and if you stutter, anything you're saying doesn't matter. That shit is lame. Although the word would not be lame that someone would use in that situation. All right, but let's get right into it. I've had a suggestion from some fans to talk about a very contentious subject, something that a lot of people have a lot of opinions on, and I tell you what, I have opinions. All right, I have opinions. Uh, it's the age old debate of do you put your toilet paper over or under? And I know it's lame, but I think there's some things that I've never really heard argued before for it. Um, I can tell you right now, I'm an over person. If you do under, with all due respect, you are lesser, right? Because you're not thinking about things in the way of like convenience. You're not thinking about like I don't really know. I guess I need someone to come on here and tell me about why they would do under versus over, because here are my arguments, right? With over, you have tearability. You have really good tearability. So like if I'm doing one-handed, I can't get two hands. I can't like, roll out and then tear. Dude, If I'm going under, every time it's under and I try to tear, it just pulls more toilet paper out. I'm pissed, right? Because now it's probably going to roll for so long that the slack is going to touch the floor. And if that shit touches the floor, I can't use that. You know what's on the damn floor, especially if you live in like places like New York or like Chicago or LA, like big urban areas. Bro, I'm not putting whatever touches the floor on my ass. That is a sensitive, private area. And I don't want dirty toilet paper touching my butt. All right? So get the fuck out of here with that. But there's tearability. There's there's also just like aesthetics. I think it looks better to have it coming over. You know what I mean? Also, like it to be honest, you're not as accurate. You're not as accurate with how much you have. You have to be like a practiced under person to be good at it. That and you can't assume that everyone's gonna have that kind of skill or wherewithal or like hand-eye coordination to really be able to know because you're kind of blinded. You know, you're coming in, you're tearing away, you're bringing the back end of your toilet paper string, however long you pull it out is dark side of the moon territory. You cannot see that unless you have a mirror or something. And also like let's say like okay, so not toilet paper, right? But this time it's paper towels. Still an over person. If you've got the one that hangs like horizontally and you can like tear it off. I mean, the goal is just to get a vertical one because then tearing down your tearability is at maximum potential, right? It's a maximum efficiency. But if you're doing an under, you're really, especially if it's not a perforated ones, you've got just like like the brown paper towel roll, dude. If you're going from underneath, your tearability is already bad. Also, you have way less of a chance of getting a more clean kind of pull because you may pull half off, right? It tears halfway, but then it starts pulling more down. And now I'm pissed, right? I'm pissed about it because I'm like, that's not, if it was over, I wouldn't have to deal with this, right? Because sometimes I'm going one-handed, especially if it's going quick, and that's when the tearability comes into play. So I guess the big thing here is I think there's a factor that people aren't talking about, which is tearability of over and under. That to me is a big thing because I'm on the go. I've got a phone. I've got something in my hand. I was gonna say food, but I don't eat while I'm pooping because that's an insane thing to do. Same thing with like if everyone's ever heard of like a blumpkin. A blumpkin is when you're getting uh uh um um I guess you could say fellatio or cunnilingus while defecating. Hey, psycho, that's nasty, right? You got to be a real sicko to do that kind of shit. I'm not really into that. I don't approve of that kind of shit. That's crazy. Move the mic here a little bit while I stand up. Yeah, I have a setup now to where I can stand and talk if I want to, which is nice. So I can do it like a standing desk kind of thing. Except for me, it's just me standing alone in my office, recording me talking to no one, which is pretty cool, you know? That's a pretty cool thing. All right. So I know you're jealous. It's okay. You don't have to like talk about it. It's fine. But I mean, I'm definitely an over guy. I've just never really heard a good argument for under. Like, I would love to hear one. If someone has what they think is a really good reason to go under versus over, please hit me up. Hit my line, HML. HMU, hit me up. HMA, hit my ass. HMS, hit that shit. It hit my shit. Damn, no, I guess it's HTS, hit this shit. If you're like putting out like a, offering up a joint or a blount, if you will, a blount. A bountiful blountess. So, yeah, that's my argument. Damn, that kind of stunned down the track, huh? Hell yeah. I was thinking about recently. I used to do acting, and there was a point where like I dropped out of acting school to just kind of try and pursue it full time, which didn't work out great, obviously, because I don't really do it anymore, which is fire. But I used to go to a lot of like open call auditions because this was pre-COVID, and they used to have a lot of open call auditions. Take a sip of my coffee. And since I don't do them anymore, now we do more casting stuff. This is one of the more evil, kind of like devious, being bad for the sake of enjoying being bad, I guess. So you guys are gonna see it. This is a real sadistic thought, I guess. I wanna like have a project, like a film or a show or whatever, and like have an open call, but it's already cast, right? I want to get as many people as possible and do the rounds and like tell people that they're doing well. And because here's the thing though, like, and I've been thinking about this more and more because I thought about it a couple of days ago. And so I have time before I came on here and like did the podcast to be able to think about it and everything. But I yeah, I want to like we could potentially actually find someone who we like for the project, and it ends up being like a good thing, right? So there is a potential, or not even for that specific project that's like, promoted, but for something else, which is kind of the whole point of auditions as well. Not the whole point, but that's, part of it is a networking thing where you get your face seen a lot, and then the more auditions you do, the more people see you, they remember your name if you do really well, or you do a bunch of them and you're kind of like forgetful, like not really standing out a lot of the time, kind of like hitting that middle lane average kind of thing. And then like they're like, I'm pretty sure I remembered this guy, but I can't really remember. I can't, it's not sticking in my mind. That happens. That does happen. And that's on you, I guess. I don't know. There's no really anywhere to really go with that. But so just to like see the hustle, I think is why I want to do this. I want to see people like really go for it and like basically with no consequence on me. Because then at the end of the day, if no one gets it, I don't feel bad about someone who does get it already. Which I don't think I would feel bad. But if there is any risk of me feeling bad, this kind of absolves me of that risk of feeling bad, So it's entirely self-fulfilling for sure, right? Um, but that's basically that. And I told this to someone. They were like, "Yeah, you can't do that." And then they told me that me saying that to them made them feel better about the bad thoughts that they have because at least it's not something like that. And that is probably unfortunately true because that's a more evil one. And I don't even remember where it came from. I think I just like thought about saw something about like an open call audition, which by the way is a crazy thing that we used to do. Like there would be dozens or like a lot of fucking people, like upwards of 100, maybe over 100 people waiting in line. Like one time I was auditioning for the West Side Story film that came out. I think it was Steven Spielberg did it, which they butchered it because they took out one of the best fucking scenes. Took out the Mambo scene in the gym. Bro, that's one of the best fucking parts because you get to see them actually like interact outside of violence. And that's a big thing because it also that's the point where Maria and Tony actually get to meet, dickhead. Man, they really well, I hate what they did to that adaptation because they really fucked it up in my opinion. But I digress. The audition was out in Brooklyn at this warehouse that's like in downtown, kind of by Dumbo. And dude, I was out there at like 6 o'clock in the fucking morning because I knew that there was gonna be a long ass line, and I get there at 6 a.m. because I'm like straight up like an hour and a half or like 2 hours early to it. I think it started at like 7:30. Bro, I get there, I'm like already like 30 something in line. And I'm like, oh my God. One of the guys there had a like basically like one of those rolling backpacks, but it's like a smaller, cooler size. You know what I mean? Not smaller, but like the smaller, if you know what a Yeti cooler is, it's like one of those, but a little bit smaller, like in terms of room. But it basically is a cooler, and he had like food and like clothes. And I was like, damn, man has got like caravan gear and got here like so early. But I mean, I guess that's the hustle, which is one of the reasons I stopped, really pursuing acting a lot because I'm just not like that guy. I can't do all of that work if at the end of the day I have no control over what the actual project is or how it's going to be portrayed. You're entirely just taking someone else's words, someone else's vision, someone else's direction, someone else's music, someone else's choreography, someone else's costume, someone else's like there's so many decisions that are already made and so much control that's already been lost by the time you get to actually being talent on set that I was like, I'm not doing all this work just to show up and have, yeah, you do get recognition because people get to see your face, but I guess to me that risk versus reward is just not worth it. So I was like, I'd rather be behind the camera actually making decisions. So now as like a producer and like an audio person, that's two departments I'm already getting to get control in. And one of them is an administrative role as a producer, right? So you have nearly as much control as possible. You actually like, especially as like a supervising producer or a line producer or not necessarily a line producer because that's more like budgeting shit. Like, but like if you're like an associate or like a supervising or something like just a regular producer, you have more control actually technically than an executive producer, unless, because for people who don't really know, executive producer most of the time just means that you funded it. That's really it. Like you just like backed it and you really believed in it. And maybe you helped get connections for it and like, find a distribution or because like you had a connection or something. Usually executive producers, that's when you are trying to get rich people and very already successful people, someone with a name, someone who's known for like producing things like, to come onto the project. That's the investment part, right? That's the part of producing that some people really like and some people fucking hate. So not everyone speaks money like others do, I guess. I'm not one of those people who speaks money as well as I speak content and actually getting the work out and actually like making things happen, getting the right people in the room and stuff like that. So there's strengths and weaknesses to each kind of uh producer. But as a producer, you get way more control. And I started finding that I like that way more than just being an actor. I also like sound and audio a lot. I like listening to things, making sure things sound good, because to me that's one of the first things I notice. It's one of the first things I've always noticed. If like there's bad audio or random noises coming in or some shit like that, I'm immediately taken out. And I can actually like because I'm just not as much as much visual prowess as like as a director or a cinematographer or something like that, which is you know um to me it's good because that means that I can focus more of my time and more of my effort and passion into the audio side, which is something that is 99% of the time blown the fuck off. which is fine because like then I get paid more because other people don't know how to do it, and so I can charge more to do your projects. Because if you all right, and I happen to be pretty damn good at it, to be honest with you, especially in the post production field. Uh, I don't enjoy field mixing as much. It's a lot of pressure, at least to me, because I think of it as someone who, especially when I know I'm going to be the one editing it in post, I feel a lot of pressure to make sure it sounds as close as possible to you know besides like a clean and like a little bit of EQing as like publishable as possible. Um, just because that's easier for me in the long game kind of thing. So if I could choose, I would like to do the mixing and the editing, but in a more realistic sense, I would choose editing and post production over the field mixing anytime. But that's not the same with composing. I would also rather be a part of the I would rather do both of them. I don't know which one I would choose more, honestly. Maybe more of like the engineering and like post production, like editing side for music scoring and everything. Because I'm definitely not like a songwriter for sure. I'm not a lyrics person as much. I really think of things as like rhythm and melody based. That's why I like things that like sometimes they're completely lyricless and like no there's no singing. It's entirely just that's why I like Radiohead a lot. Tom York will sing like a couple of lines and then it's just jamming with Colin and Johnny Greenwood. Like which is awesome. I love that kind of shit. It's prog rock, any kind of like ambient stuff. Super into like Brian Eno and like as shitty as he is, Varg Vikernes with like his like you know post medieval like dark ambient shit, which is very interesting. I just started getting into like Burzum's Dowdy something is the name of the album. Uh, Pretty cool album. I mean, he's a shit person. He's a really bad person, but he created black metal and dark ambient. Was one of like the first people in it, specifically in those genres. But other ambient people, there's an ambient album I listened to recently that was technically ambient house music, but it was like minimalism ambient, so it was like really really soft, dim, kind of not dim and like dumb, but dim and like not as bright and saturated sounds. Very like airy, very like wispy kind of feel, but still having like a, a good rhythm, kind of like a kind of it pulsed a lot, which is really nice. It's a really great work album. Let me actually figure out what it was called again so that I can drop the name on here and drop the name of the artist as well. You know what I mean? Where is it? I know it's on here because I just listened to it the other day. Here it is. It's called Loop Finding Jazz Records, and all Loop Dash Finding Dash Jazz Dash Records by Jan Jelinek. Janjelinek. Jan Jelinek. It's from 2001. Great album if you want to just kind of like, you know, not doze off. I mean, you could actually probably sleep to this album, honestly, but it's a really great work album, just like chilling. Also, speaking of great albums, there's a couple more that I found recently. Well, I didn't find because this one just dropped, but the Lil Yachty, I think it's called "Let's Do This." The new album that he just dropped is insanely good. It's like stupid how good that is. Like I am almost pissed off at him. It's called "Let's Start Here." Phenomenal, phenomenal. It's so fucking good. Break-In's his new album, Hypochondriac. I mean, that's pretty old. That's like December, I'm pretty sure. There's a guy named Tokyo Pill who's great. Specifically the album Dopamine Online. Awesome. Oh, by the way, Dowdy Balders, Daudibaldrs is that dark ambient Vark Vikernes album from Burzum. All right, so now music corner is done. There's a couple of albums that I've been listening to recently. They're all very very different. Just so you know, they're all very different in their own way. Like every single one is a different genre. So I've been all over the place in music recently. That's what happens when I know when I'm going through a lot in my life, when like I'll have times where I listen to like the same album over and over and over and over and over and over and over because I just love I love concept and like cohesive albums as like a full project. That's my favorite thing. The singles game, I get it, is virality and like all of this fucking streaming and algorithm based success and all that shit, but really into the concept album type shit. So that's what I'm gonna be. Even if no one listens to it, I want to start making music more as a hobby rather than trying to make that like my main breadwinning source kind of thing. So I think I'm gonna start doing that. Just putting it because it puts a lot of pressure on myself when I'm like, I have to make it so good that it's gonna take me to the top. I'm gonna get a deal. I'm gonna get a record deal off of this. When it's just like on average, singers are making sometimes up to 30 songs before a record label even looks at them. And even at the end of the day, everything is an advanced loan. So you have to make all that money back and then you start making profit, which is like, first off, people talk about how shitty that is. Dude, that's just the business. It's always been like that. It's not going to change anytime soon. Unless you're going to start your own record label, and if you are, hell fucking yeah, do that. But you will fall into that same thing where you're like, okay, let's give you money, let's give you all this stuff, but we got to make an ROI, a return of investment on this. And like that, how else do you expect to do it except for being like, you got to pay this back and then you can start making profit, but you're giving them all of these resources. So it's how you use it. Young Thug talked about it. He was just like, I just needed a platform. It's not about the money for him. I just need a platform. And then he rose up. Now he is YSL. Now, granted, he's in jail. So maybe not the best idea to do it the way specifically he did it, but the idea still stands and the concept is the same. And the plan is a good plan. That's a good route to take if you want to do that. It's using your resources right. Or you can fuck around with labels like Frank Ocean did and completely fuck them over and live stream your whole album. I think it was Euphoria it was called, or Euphoric or some shit like that. And then, that's your last album, and then you get your $50 million done, like your $50 million deal or whatever it was. And then you go independent, you drop Blonded, and then you make a fuck ton of money off of it because you own the masters. Pretty smart. But also, like, he will be dealing with the outcome of that, like, the fallout from that forever. I'm sure that those record labels are going to try and fuck him over for the rest of his fucking life. But if you're cool with that, then do that. Who cares? But see, now all of you hear like all of that commotion, all that conflict and all that shit. I don't care enough to deal with that. It's the same thing with acting. I'll deal with it on a production level and deal with the shit clients and deal with all these arguments and lack of control and whatever bad things may come, because I just love I love making projects, making media, making content so much. I'm willing to put up with that. I love music and acting, but I don't love it so much I'm willing to put up with that for a measly paycheck at the end of the day. I love audio that much. I'll put up with a lot of shit knowing that I'm continuing to hone my craft. Now, that doesn't mean try and take advantage of me, because I'll still get in your face and be like, go fuck yourself, pay me my money type shit. But it's more of like, you got to kind of be willing to take some shots to the face and like eat them sometimes. Like, it's just sometimes you do projects for free because you know that like it's going to bring in business later down the line. It's an investment in a relationship. And do all of them work out? No. But even if you only get a third of them to work out, when they work out, they will work out well. If you obviously are with the right people, but that's up to you to decide. And that's part of the learning process and the learning curve of getting into this. And it's also, the curse and blessing of getting into it as young as your early 20s, of like, trying to work at the same level in the same kind of jobs that like 40 and 50-year-olds work, of producing content at the level that we want to try and produce it at. Our constituents a lot of the time are, 35 and up. They can be elected into a government office. That's usually our constituents, of like people that we're constantly in talks with and shit like that. And for talent, obviously, it's younger people. Also because it's easier for us to direct and we create stories a lot of the time with younger people in mind. But there's also stories and content and commercials and clients with older people. And, as crazy as it is to fathom, there are more people alive who are older than me than there are who are my age or younger. Are they quickly depleting? Yeah, they have been for the last 3 years. But there's still more of them because obviously, yeah. So it's a very interesting thing, man, being in the film business and the media business, and because everyone's a fucking content creator now. Everyone with an iPhone and some shitty USB mic is a fucking content creator. And you know what? Get your bag, bro. I don't care. There's no judgment coming from me, because right now I obviously have no room, and our company has no room to talk right now on talking shit on people getting their bag. If you're getting it, fuck yeah, go for it. I hope you work with us. I hope you want to work with us, because I would love to. The piggyback off of success kind of thing is so tired sometimes, because it's like you're talking about networking and like bringing people up with you. That's just part of it. But yeah. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end it here. A little bit under 30 minutes, so not too bad. Little quick one for y'all. The Friday one this week will be extra nice and a little bit longer. I'm gonna try and get like an hour in, but I'm hoping to have Nick and Kevin, my other co-VP and executive at Bay One, coming in. You have the three of us talk to y'all and kind of hang out and hear all the antics that we've got going on. I want to start getting some other guests too. Few good friends of mine. But yeah, hell yeah. Thanks for listening. I hope you got some work done. If you didn't, then I hope you enjoyed anyways. Like always, if you have anything that you want to have me talk about, or any kind of topics, you have any comments, you have any like responses, I always love to see it and hear it and read it and listen to it, whatever. I think I said hear it and listen to it. So cool. Nice. But yeah, you can DM me at Mophead Records on Instagram, MOPHEAD Records at Instagram. Or you can email me, phil@bay1entertainment.com. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. I'll see you, or I'll talk at you on the next one. Bye.